Yeah. Hi, good day, everyone. Hi, good day, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to the today's meeting. Today's meeting theme says, "You will win if you don't quit." I have a great example which related to today's theme, that is Thomas Alva Edison's invention of the bulb. In his invention, he used 2000 different materials, but no success. His assistant complained like, "Sir, all our work is in vain. We have not learned anything." Then Edison replied, "We have not failed because now we came to know 2000 materials cannot be used to invent our bulb. So we came to know these 2000 materials cannot be used. We still need to find one more material. That is his determination and positive towards his invention. And finally, he invented that bulb with the metal of tungsten. But before that, he used 2000 materials, different materials. Each time he failed, he gave the positive thought to himself, this is not the material. After his invention, he tried almost 1000 times before he invented that bulb. Once he invented that bulb, after his success, there was a press meeting, and one of the reporter asked him, "How did you feel to fail 1000 times?" Then Edison replied, "I did not fail 1000 times. The light bulb was an invention with the 1000 steps." So our theme says, "You will win if you don't quit." So I believe if everyone continue with your failures like Thomas Alva Edison, then you will reach your success. Never ever quit your efforts. Definitely there will be a destination. Just we need to move on towards our destination irrespective of our failures. With this positive, I am taking this meeting forward. The meeting agenda, it included two sessions. Actually, I have seen one guest, so it is my responsibility to explain what is the Toastmasters. Toastmaster, any typical Toastmasters will have three sessions. One is prepared speech and evaluation and table topic session. But in the today's meeting, we have only two sessions. One is prepared speech and evaluation. That is the today's meeting agenda. Before we move on to the first session, that is a prepared speech, I would like to request the grammarian of the today's meeting, Toastmaster Satya sir, to give the word of the day and explain the word of the day to the members.
Good day, Toastmasters, and welcome, distinguished guest Meredith. The word of the day today is replete. It means completely filled, full, amply or fully equipped. I have put that two sentences there. Essentially, this has been taken from Easy Speak. You can read out those sentences. The meaning, let me repeat, completely filled, full, amply or fully equipped. The word of the day is replete. Over to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Satya sir, for giving the top word of the day. Though many role takers are absent, but our meeting roles replete with dual roles. So thank you for that, for taking the additional roles to everyone. So now I will move on to the first session, that is prepared speech. Before I invite the speakers, I would like to request the evaluator speaker one. Oh, sorry, is that Kathleen? The first evaluator, Toastmaster Kathy Draper, to read out the speech objectives of the Toastmaster Louisiana speech.
Purpose for this project is for the member to learn about different communication styles and identify his or her primary style. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share the impact in his or her, well, actually her style, on others. I look forward to our speech.
Thank you, Kathy, for reading the objectives of this speech. Now, I will request the first speaker. Please put your hands together to welcome the first speaker, Toastmaster Ruziana, to deliver our speech.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the Day. Raif, get up and go to your online class now. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, in this project, Understanding Your Communication Style, there are 4 types of communication styles. My son, studying in boarding school, has been home due to the lockdown ever since attending the online class. That yelling was the direct style of communication. Let me demonstrate to you the other type that was direct just now because it's straight to the point. What if I'm an analytical meaning that I would tell him, Raif, that's my son's name, you know that 50% of students fail the exam because they hate the online class. Okay, that is the analytical. How about initiative? Initiative, I would tell him, Raif, come, I've already prepared everything for you. Your favorite breakfast, and then I've laid out all the computers, and you just come with me down and we're going to class. All right, that is initiative. How about supportive? Supportive, I would tell him, Raif, can you tell me, can you just let it out to me? What is it that you're having problem with your online class about? And then I got the idea from him. This is the time when I got the two-way communication, because he told me that it is not that he disliked the online class, but he just couldn't get up early in the morning. Then I realized that my son is actually if having difficulty waking up. Even if you put bomb by his side, he will have problem getting up. So then being direct will not help, because it's the issue here is not being able to wake up. Teenagers, wake up early in the morning. All right. So then, fellow Toastmasters and friends, so now I got the two-way communication only after I probe with him and understand that his problem is actually getting up. And as I'm doing this project, I noticed that our communication style can be changed over time. For example, when I was working in the bank for 24 years, I was an analytic lunatic, immersing myself in numbers, ratios, and figures. I didn't realize I was only being analytic of the financial and not on my happiness. So I turned to tennis and yoga to distress myself. When I got to be the eternal trainer for the bank, go around the country and training the banking staffs, my communication style transformed from stressful lunatic analytic to initiative and supportive. Initiative because I talk more. Get the diagram there. Initiative, talk more. And supportive because I get feedback from doing the training needs analysis, and then listen to the audience, which is the banking staff. And then, and I believe that this is a defining moment. When I got to be the internet trainer, I felt that is a defining moment for me, because I transformed myself from being analytic into initiative and supportive. And that time when I was driving back or from my training, and I feel some kind of fulfillment in the sense that I have especially when I get the good evaluation for the training programs. And this is the time that I remembered of becoming the top 3 trainer because of the passion that I have into that defining moment, transforming me from being analytic to the initiative and supportive. Raif! I think shouting at my son would not help. Have you ever heard? Anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And the other one is an angry man is always a stupid man. So I dug further into this project. And I remember this book I read some time ago. And that book is this book, Nonviolent Communication. Nonviolent Communication. Okay, in this book, if I would approach my son like so. Okay, first is Raif, I observe that you are having difficulty wake up to attend your class, online class. As a mother, I feeling sad, angry, hopeless. I fear for your future, as not attending will affect your future. I am needing you, to grow, to be a good man, a responsible man, to get up on your own as you and attend your class and score your exams. This is for your own future. I can't be there for you forever, and I love you. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, defining moments that transform me from stressful, lunatic, analytic to initiative and supportive. Yet, I also want to be direct, because direct is good as it gets things done faster. But yelling is not helping. It's poisonous. The book Nonviolence Communication helps me to strengthen things up. My mentor said, leaders are readers. Nonviolence communication helped me being direct without being a tiger mother. Back to you, Toastmaster. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Ruziana. It was a great speech. You well narrated different types of communication with your own example. We had learned many things from your speech. Again, round of applause to the Toastmaster Ruziana for the great speech. Now, I will invite the second evaluator, Toastmaster Somesh, to read out the speech objectives of the Toastmaster Satya's speech.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, Madhu. Satya is going to give a speech from the engaging humor path, and it's level 2, project 1, which is a speech in terms of know your sense of humor. The purpose statement is, the purpose of the project is to begin developing a collection of humorous stories and to present a speech that includes humor. All the best, Satya.
Thank you, Toastmaster Somesh, for explaining in detail about the pathways. And now I would like to request the Toastmaster Satya sir to deliver your speech and make us humorous. Over to you, Toastmaster Satya sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Madhu. Am I audible and visible? Am I audible and visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you. Andrew Carnegie has said that all human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitude. Good day to you, Toastmasters, and welcome to the distinguished guest who has come here and joined us this evening. For altering our attitude, we have to alter our mind. How do we do that is what I'm going to discuss with you this evening by giving 3 illustrations. One of the first illustration goes like this. Once I was traveling by air on official work from Bangalore to Delhi. Incidentally, I had with me by my side a young couple, husband, wife, and a small child. After some time, I was keenly observing them. Typically, when we sit alongside the passenger, we keep looking around. So I observed that the lady, the wife of the gentleman, was grumbling, murmuring, complaining about the tea that is served that is not so warm, the cold drink served for the child is warm, the seat is dirty. Like that, she went on grumbling. I was noticing that. Nevertheless, I started a conversation with the gentleman by my side, who was very pleasant and smiling. I got to know that he's an IT professional and he had offices all over the world, quite a pleasant human being. And I enjoyed talking to him. As we went along conversing, I found out he made a passing mention that my wife is in the manufacturing business. I was surprised because his wife looked like a housewife and not so well educated, in fact, if you look at it. Then I said, I asked the gentleman, what kind of a manufacturing business your wife is doing? He, in a jovial way, said, she is in the business of manufacturing gloominess, unhappiness. Wherever she goes, she spread gloominess or unhappiness. How very well put. I then started thinking, it's all in the mind how you look at things. You have to be, your attitude should be positive. You should look at things in a positive way rather than looking at it in a gloomy way and spreading the gloom all around you. The next illustration goes like this. This is about a humorous poet, Hindi poet. His name is Kaka Hatrasi, very reputed, renowned person. Once he was found crying by his friend. Friend asked him, Kaka, why are you crying? Kaka says that my uncle passed away. That's very bad news. But he continues saying that he left me $1 million. Then this friend of his says, you should be happy, you got $1 million. No, I'm very sorry, I'm crying. My another uncle also passed away. He left me $2 million. This friend of his was again surprised. And he said, no, this is not a good thing for you to cry. You should be okay. Uncles have passed away. They lived their life. But you got your money. He said, no. My third uncle passed away. He left a will in my name, bequeathed about $4 million. This friend was really flabbergasted. He said, why are you crying then? He said, you don't understand, my dear friend. Kaka says that I don't have any other uncle who will pass away and who will give me money. So this is the state of mind of that Kaka, who is a renowned poet and all that. He gives this example that your mind should be more positive. You should look at things positively. Look at the positive aspect of getting rich, getting money, unexpected wealth, but still you are crying in your life. That should not be the case. That is the lesson I learned on that. The third illustration goes like this. He's a friend of mine, Dr. Muralidhar. Unfortunately, he lost his wife a couple of months back. His two children are even now living in the US. Dr. Murali didn't want to go and join his children after his wife's death. He rather wanted to settle in a senior living or a retirement home. So he came to me, we sat together, looked at various websites and booked a room for him in a senior living community center somewhere close to Bangalore. One fine day, Dr. Murali comes to me and says, let us go and see the room. I'm going to shift there a couple of months. So we went there. I was also to stand surety for this gentleman. Then we went there. I signed off. Then the manager there asked the nurse to usher us to the room where we were to go and see the Dr. Murali's room. On the way in the corridor, the nurse started explaining about the condition of the room to Dr. Murali. Doctor, sir, your room has a very excellent carpet, Persian carpet. Doctor smiles and says, oh, lovely, I like it. Next, she goes on to say, there's a huge bay window overlooking the garden. You can see the garden, lot of greenery, nature, nice environment, nice air. Doctor retorts, yeah, very good, very good. I like it. I love it. Then finally she says, there's a nice painting, large painting on the wall. This man says, doctor says, very good, very good. I'm very happy about it. She is surprised. She said, doctor, sir, you have not seen the room, but still you say, I love it, I like it, I admire it, whatever you're talking about, very positive things about it. Then he says, you have to be positive in your life. Dear Toastmasters, attitude, mental attitude, positive attitude is what matters in our life. Experts say there is a chemical called as a serotonin. You may already know about it. But what experts say is serotonin gets developed, which is good for your health, it keeps up your fitness and all, if you have a positive frame of mind. So one should always be looking at positive things, ignore the smaller elements of life, and live life happy. Over to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Satya sir. It was a great story. You enthralled us with the skill of narrating a story. So please give big round of applause to Toastmaster Satya sir for making us forget ourselves by listening your story. Now, before I move on to the third speaker, I would like to request the third evaluator. She is very active in our club. I would like to request Toastmaster Anvita Egde to read out the speech objectives for Toastmaster Kaushal Gupta.
Thank you, Toastmaster Madhu. The speaker is attempting his first speech of Develop Your Vision. Speech length is 5 to 7 minutes. The purpose of this project is for the member to develop a detailed vision for his or her personal life, professional life, or an organization. All the best to the speaker. Back to Toastmaster Madhu.
Thank you, Toastmaster Anvita, for reading the objectives of this speech. Now, please put your hands together to welcome the third speaker of the today's meeting, Toastmaster Kaushal Gupta. We are looking forward the vision. Over to Toastmaster Kaushal Gupta.
Friends, Romans, Toastmasters, lend me your ears. I want to share with you a vision I have for improving my life. This vision was inspired by a book I read that was written 2,000 years ago by a man who never intended for it to be published. That man was Marcus Aurelius. He was an emperor of Rome and is considered one of the greatest leaders of that ancient civilization. Over the course of almost 20 years, he kept a journal for himself. In this journal, he recorded his thoughts and observations on life and nature and little motivational sayings to help him do better. As I said, he never intended for this journal to be published. It was just for himself, but it did get published, and millions of people all over the world have cherished it. It is replete with stoic wisdom that can be applied to everyday life. And it shows that even the most powerful man in the world had flaws and insecurities, which he was able to overcome to serve society better. I read this book with a friend. We analyzed each verse, discussed what it could mean, and how we could apply it to our lives. For this speech, I have chosen the 4 verses that mean the most to me, that are part of my vision for self-improvement. I would now like to share these 4 meditations with you. First, do not be world about. Keep justice, comprehension, and understanding in mind. Now, what does this mean? It means that in a life that demands so much of us, when the world expects so much of us, it's easy to get overwhelmed and distracted. But if you just keep cool and keep composed and not let yourself feel overburdened, you will be able to negotiate these obstacles much better and live a better life and serve society better. The second verse, like the promontory that stands firm against repeated waves, be happy in spite of, not unhappy because of, the things that happen to you. Something that happens to you, others might not see as a misfortune, so maybe you shouldn't either. And even if it is a misfortune, will you allow it to make you a bad person? Whatever misfortune happens to you, it is good fortune to bear it nobly. Now, what does this mean? All of our lives have mishaps, from minor annoyances to major tragedies. We cannot avoid or mitigate them all. But if we approach them with the attitude that although this will hurt, we will learn from this and we will go stronger, then we will be able to manage these mishaps in our life better and become better people for them. The third verse. When it's hard to rise out of bed, remind yourself that you are rising to do the work of your life, to fulfill your purpose. Isn't that more worthy than staying in the pleasure of your warm bed? Even the little plants, birds, and insects rise to go about living. Also, why do you push past the bounds of rest and eating, but stop short of your limit when it comes to working? You are supposed to run an empire, and even a dancer is working harder than you. What does this mean? It shows that even the most powerful man in the world had trouble getting out of bed every morning, just like the rest of us. I want to use this quote as my own personal alarm to get out of bed every morning, not hit the snooze button, and not having the first thing I do be checking my iPhone. I want this quote to inspire me to attack the day the moment I rise. The fourth meditation. The gods are not vexed during an eternity of having to take care of all people, some of whom suck. So why, in your limited life, are you vexed by others, especially since sometimes you suck too? Now, obviously, Marcus Aurelius did not use the word suck. I have restated it in language more familiar to me to help my understanding. But what does it mean? Marcus Aurelius believed that people are just who they are. Whether you get along with them or not, that is just their nature, and it is useless to let that annoy you. Just tolerate them and be patient and kind with them. And that is a much better and effective way to deal with difficult people than by letting them get under your skin. I have already found that having this attitude leads to more profitable relationships with people who initially seem difficult. And so, ladies and gentlemen, now you know the 4 meditations that are part of my vision for improving my life. I encourage you, if this interests you, to read this book with a friend or family member. Discuss what it means to you and how you can use it to improve your life, just like Marcus Aurelius did. You may not be the emperor of Rome, but you are the leader of your life. Mr. Toastmaster, please.
Thank you, Toastmaster Kaushal. It was a very informative speech because most of the people will have unclear about their vision. You made us how it should be the vision. Thank you for very informative speech. Please again give big round of applause to Toastmaster Kaushal. Now let's move on to the 4th speaker. Before that, I would like to invite Evaluator Toastmaster Sumesh to read out the objectives.
Yes, Toastmaster, I think we don't have the fourth speaker today. He hasn't come.
Yeah, he hasn't
So-
joined. We
So
can
we
move
won't
on
have the
to
fourth
general-
speech.
Yeah.
Arthur.
We won't have the fourth speech today.
Okay. So shall we move on to the evaluation then?
Yes, if that's okay.
Okay. Thank you, all the speakers and evaluators. Now let's move on to the next session, that is evaluation. I am handing over the meeting control to Toastmaster Elizabeth Hakinini to do the evaluation of the meetings. Here is
Thank you, the TMOD. I think at this point, we are going to get the evaluators, give us their evaluations, and we will begin with the first evaluator for the first speech, and that is Kathy. Yes, Kathy, our first evaluator, will give her report.
Thank you. Rosie, you did an amazing job. Your speech was replete with examples of your leadership, or actually your communication style, excuse me. I love the way you had the examples up above you and gave us distinct examples of working with your son in different manners using those different communication styles. It was a very effective demonstration for us. Your clarity, your eye contact was excellent. You did leave your a little bit, but we don't have to have contact every second of the speech, but you did a great job on that. I love your hand gestures. You could see them clearly when you were doing your numbers and everything. Found it very interesting. I like the fact that you used examples not only in your personal life, but also in your career life. The one thing that you might challenge yourself on, I like the examples over your head, but it got a little awkward when you had that book behind your head and you had to bend over to do that. I don't know if there's a way, if perhaps you could come up with either, I know it looks like you were using a background. I don't know if maybe you could maybe get a picture instead and put it in front of you. It's just an awkward speaking in that particular thing. Maybe you could have a picture, have the book, just display that book. Having the book there is a good prop, but it just makes it awkward when you're trying to speak with it behind your head. The one thing that I thought was missing, and you might want to work on, you mentioned your communication styles, but when it talks about the purpose, it also mentions the impact of your style. Stop that. Sorry, my cat's in here. Stop it. Sorry. But actually the impact, because you shared with us your son was having trouble getting up, which anybody who has a teenager, I don't even have teenagers, but I know that they have a challenge getting up. But letting us know the impact of using those communication styles, how that impacted what the effect was. So if just adding that little portion of it might add a little bit more impact, unless of course you're still working on the issue, which is probably possible. But I really enjoyed your speech. You continue to get more and more comfortable as you're doing your speeches, and I love watching your growth as a speaker. So great job. I look forward to your next speech. Back to you, Madam General Evaluator.
Thank you, Kathy, for that evaluation. Our second evaluator for the second speaker is Somesh. Welcome, Somesh.
Thank you very much, Madam General Evaluator. Fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, and especially Satya. Your speech was entitled, "It's All About Your Mindset." What an apt title. And the speech is replete with different stories, and you wanted to put in humor there as well, which was excellent. The purpose of this project was to develop collection of humorous stories. And it also mentioned that your speech should include at least one anecdote or story intended to entertain or bring humor into your presentation. And you did it very nicely, Satya. One of the things that I appreciate about all the speeches you're doing is you stand up and you give the speech, which is really great. I think it gives, because we are all meeting online now, and this is an online only club. So it especially matters that we show as much of our body as possible and use our body language to the best extent. So congratulations on doing that. So that's the part of your delivery of the speech. So there is content and structure as well. So the content of the speech, you had the 3 stories and you had humor there, and humor, engaging humor, the path that you have chosen. I would like to congratulate you on choosing that path, because it's not easy to bring in humor in the speeches. To give a normal speech, a serious speech is easy, but to actually give a humorous speech is not easy. And you did your best to bring in the humor. For example, in the first story, you mentioned about the manufacturer. It was an interesting one, actually. So you said the husband was saying that the wife is in the manufacturing business, and you thought that she looked like housewife. She probably was not a working woman. And then he said that she's manufacturing unhappiness. That was really humorous. And then the other, you had one story in between sandwiched. You had 2 personal anecdotes, and you had one that was not personal, but it was something related to folklore, which is really great. So you had the power of 3 there, three stories, and bringing in all the humor there in terms of what you wanted to convey. And the great message, it's all about the mindset. I think that's really extremely important. We really need to understand this. In any situation, we could look at positives and we could look at negatives. It's all about us, how we are going to look at it. For example, a glass half with water, someone would say it is half full of water, someone would say it's half empty. So it actually is our perspective. And you brought this very nicely in your speech. But thank you very much, Satya. The only small recommendation that I would give is in terms of pausing whenever you are trying to convey a point, pause for a second, couple of seconds, and then move on to the next point. That's a small recommendation I have, and congratulations on your wonderful speech, and we look forward to your other speeches. Thank you very much, Satya. Over to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, our second evaluator, Somesh. And so we move to the third evaluator, and that is none other than Anvita.
The first thing I'm going to do tomorrow is Google this book written by Marcus and read it. It sounded very interesting. Good day, Toastmasters, guests, and to DTM Kaushal in particular. Coming to the positive aspects of your speech. I loved the white attire which you are wearing. It was so soothing and peaceful. When you opened the speech, you said, lend me your ears. I felt it was a very innovative kind of way of starting a speech. You had my ears. The second aspect which I liked is that you mentioned all the facts which showed that you had very well researched your speech. You mentioned who wrote that book, where was he based, which was in Rome, and how many years ago he wrote this book, which was 2000 years ago, which made me realize how valuable that book was. Coming to the objectives of your speech. The first objective was to formulate your vision, which you mentioned throughout your speech. Second objective was to explain the process in formulating the vision, which you did by mentioning how you discussed it with a friend. The third objective was to discuss the benefits of it, which you did by mentioning the self-improvement points. I just have one suggestion for you. In your conclusion, you mentioned that you recommend to read the book. Probably you could have held out the book and used it as a prop. That would have aroused curiosity. Coming to the positives again, I liked how your content of the presentation matched with the images. That is, your first slide had something about do not whirl, and there was a picture of the whirling wind. Your third slide talked about birds and bees, there was a picture of bee on a flower. In the fourth slide, you told that people are who they are, and there was a picture of a lovely lady. Because of all this, I was able to grasp your content quickly and correlate it with the images, because when we visualize something, we grasp it quicker. Coming to your gestures, you are actively using your hands throughout your speech. For example, when you said he never intended, you drew your hands away. It was very well done. Coming to the message of your speech, you motivated us to read that book by telling how the author overcame his flaws and insecurities by the techniques he mentioned in the book. And in the last point you mentioned, this is how we can have profitable relationships. That is something we all needed in our lives. All this motivated and encouraged me to follow all your verses and also to read that book. Again, in your conclusion, you brought your speech to a full circle because you mentioned about the book. And even in the beginning of your speech, you mentioned about the book. So it was a full circle. To summarize, you had great content, great gestures, even your objectives were met. A prop usage in the end, maybe by showing the book, would have elevated your speech. Back to the general evaluator.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anvitha, and all the evaluators for giving us elaborate and quite insightful evaluations. Next, I'm going to call upon the roll takers, and I will begin with the AHA counter.
Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests, I do have a replete list for the AHA counter report today. Madhu had 2 so's. Louisiana had 1 you know, 1 aw, and 1 okay. Cauchel had an and so. Kathy had a so, an aw, and an Elizabeth had an and so. And one thing that I picked up that most people don't look for is I noticed a lot of you were saying that you would like to show your reports when you was doing those. Instead of doing would like to, I'm going to, because you are actually going to do it. You're not just liking to do it. Just a little bit of grammar there. Madam General Evaluator, that's my report.
Thank you, Rock, for that evaluation. Next is our timer.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. Our timings tonight for our speeches and evaluators were very replete with minutes. So Rosanna, she came in at 7 minutes, 17 seconds. They were all 5 to 7 minute speeches, so everyone was done good on that. Safia, 6 minutes 50. Kushal, 6 minutes 56. So well done there, everybody. And evaluations are 1 to 3 minutes. Kathy, 2 minutes 36. Samesh, 3:27. Woohoo! Pretty close there, Samesh, but good one. And Anvitha, 3 minutes and 15. Back over to you, General Evaluator. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. The next report we receive from the grammarian.
Thank you, G. Yeah. Thank you, G. Good day to you, Toastmasters, once again. Today's grammarian report is replete with many instances, many examples. I found it very enthralling and interesting. All of you, if I were to say who have used the word of the day, replete, it started with Madhu, then Rosiana, Elizabeth, she wrote on the chat again now, then Sumesh, John, and Liz, the timer. All of these persons have used the word of the day. Congratulations to you. Rock, sorry, I always get confused with Rock and John. Sometimes I want to call Rock, I call up John. I'm very sorry for that. Anyway, now if I were to say what are the good words, quotes I heard from you all, significantly it was 2 or 3 speakers. I'll leave myself. Let me take the example of Rosiana. Anger is like drinking poison. I liked it very much. Then we go on to caution. Lend me your ears. That's what Marcus Aurelius said 2000 years back. I am very fond of Marcus Aurelius, Julius Caesar, and in fact Caligula also. You would have read about him. Stoic wisdom. Powerful man in the world has flaws. Really, it's very interesting to know that. Very good caution. Minor annoyances, mitigate them all. We should mitigate them all. That's quite good. And he brought us into the present day when he said that in the morning I look at my iPhone. That's quite enthralling, quite interesting. I found it quite kind of something new, which you rarely hear when you're talking about history. It goes about history only. You don't come to present day, but that's the new thing. I know for sure if you bring in the present day with the historical instances that you narrate, that's a somewhat extraordinary a speaker is talking about. Then finally, Somesh used a metaphor, glass half full of water and half empty. Congratulations, Somesh. With this, I conclude my report. G, over to you.
Thank you so much, Satya, for a very elaborate presentation, of the grammarian role. We have taken note and we will continue to try to improve, as that is the reason why we are in Toastmasters. We are done with the reports. Because we don't have the table topics, I will go on to my report as the general evaluator. I believe that is okay. That is fine. Okay. So my purpose was to evaluate everything that took place throughout the meeting. I was able to take some notes and I will be able to give my report. Before the meeting, I realized that everyone was ready, but I did not notice any guests. I don't know whether we don't call upon guests or we don't come with guests in this club, because for all the time I've been here, I've hardly seen guests. And if the guest was there, then I did not hear the president explain how the club operates, which would have been good if there was a guest. The meeting was opened at 2 minutes past 4, my time. I don't know what your time is, and that was timely. The president was prepared and organized. However, there was no introduction of the role takers. Again, I don't know whether this is how we run the club or it is how we have decided to have the club run, because in my club, all the role takers are normally introduced. So it's like we do things differently here. The Toastmaster of the day was well prepared. All the roles were taken upon before the beginning of the meeting, although we realized that there were no role takers, but I saw teamwork in that people are willing to take up to 2 roles during the meeting, which is very good. The meeting theme was given, you will win if you do not quit. Very encouraging, very timely, especially during the season in which we are operating. Of course, the general evaluator was not introduced, and the topics master was not introduced because there was no topic session. I also realized that we only prepared for 2 segments. I think I may be wrong, that any meeting, we are also supposed to develop our impromptu speaking ability. So if we have the table topic session, then we give members the opportunity to also develop and polish their impromptu speech. But this one was not there, it was only 2 segments. All the role takers were duly prepared and they delivered their roles very well, which is good for us. I would say that for the speakers, I realized that the evaluators did not give the topics. Again, this is different. Maybe this club, we do things differently. In my club, we introduce the topic and then the name of the speaker, and then the topic, just to emphasize so that we all know what the speaker is going to speak about. I realized that was missing. Otherwise, the meeting was good. Everything went on well. There was good time management, and I have enjoyed being in this meeting this afternoon. Actually, I sat still and I was praying that no play off by power, so that I'm able to follow on each person. And it's always nice when you begin the meeting and you end the meeting and you're able to pick each and every segment of the meeting. So back to you, TMOD of the day. You are muted.
We're not able to hear you, Madhu.
You're on mute, Madhu. You need to unmute yourself. Oh, it is raining, it seems. He has some net issues, I guess. Somesh, can you take over?
All right. Thank you very much, Madhu, for running the show today. It's unfortunate that the last moment this happened. That's okay. Great meeting, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today. We were supposed to have 4 speeches, but if we had the 4th speech, I would say we would probably have been a little bit late. It's just 6 minutes there. And one of the things here, Dr. Akini, is we had decided as a club in terms of introducing only the grammarian, and the grammarian will give the word of the meeting for that meeting. We said that because we are an advanced club and because we meet for 1 hour, if we are going through all the roles introductions, it probably will take more time. So that's what we had decided. And that's the reason we are not introducing all the roles. I think I agree in terms of if we have some guests, I think it will be really important to do this so that the guests are aware of what's going on. And we had Meredith, I think, from Kaushal's place coming to support Kaushal. That was good. We had one guest there. That's great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this meeting. I think as Elizabeth was saying, Dr. Akini was saying, we should probably have more guests attending our meeting, and hopefully they will become our members. Maybe we should try our best in terms of each one bring one kind of policy. I think we were talking about this in one of our clubs as well. If we can try to do that, we'll have guests in every meeting, and if we have guests in every meeting, hopefully some of them will become our members. That would be good. So thank you all very much. It was an entertaining and informative meeting. 3 speeches, and all speeches really inspiring and entertaining. It was worth the time that we spent here today. Thank you all very much. Looking forward to the next meeting. Thank you. Anvita, you want to fill the next roles?
Yeah, I'll just tell